Good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me at the back? Yeah, perfect. So, as it says, we are Restless Development Zimbabwe. My name's Ed Francis, and I'm the Director of Programmes for Restless Development, and I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of our colleagues in Zimbabwe. I've mentioned Zimbabwe a couple of times now. What's the question to you all? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say Zimbabwe?
Mugabe.
Mugabe. Childhood. Oh, wonderful. I'll speak later.
Victoria Falls.
Victoria Falls. Pardon?
My cousin was born there.
Okay, brilliant. So we're hearing a lot around good. On one hand, Mugabe, we've got some kind of we've got a lot of kind of negative press around that, but on the other hand, there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of kind of family connections. There's a lot of beautiful things like waterfalls, and that's where Restless Development comes in, because we believe that there's a huge amount of hope in Zimbabwe. Did you guys know that half the world is under 25 years old?
Yes.
Did you know that in Zimbabwe, half the population there is closer to under 15? That's half the population of Zimbabwe is under 15 years old. We think that's a huge opportunity at Restless Development, because if society is prepared to engage that generation, then that's a huge generation of the next young leaders of the country. What makes Restless Development unique is that all of our programs are led by young Zimbabweans. They're led and they're designed by the people in Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe, we work with a lot of the most vulnerable populations. So the project that I'm here to talk to you about is a project around income generation and giving orphans and people affected by HIV and AIDS the opportunity to get themselves through schooling. So that's our most successful project that we run in Zimbabwe, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about tonight. We know that it works, and I'm about to talk to you about why. So, as you know, Zimbabwe's had a bit of a tough time of it over the recent decade or so. 3/4 of Zimbabweans are living in poverty or are unemployed. And with one of the highest HIV prevalence rates in the whole world, there are an estimated 1 million young people either orphaned through HIV or living with HIV themselves. Orphans with HIV face near 100% unemployment rate because they weren't able to go to school because they didn't have that social safety net. Our income generating projects allow these young people to go to school, and I'm here today to ask us to expand that project into a new district, a district which has the highest prevalence rate of HIV in Zimbabwe and where there's an estimated 15,000 young orphans. Whoops. So meet Patrick. Patrick's a 16-year-old guy and he's got HIV. He has had a tough year or so because he was living with relatives who were abusing them. They finally threw him out of his house. Once he got thrown out of their house, he dropped out of school because that social safety net wasn't there. He didn't have the money to enable him to go to school. But luckily the school where Patrick was at was a Restless Development Zimbabwe school. In that school, Restless Development Zimbabwe had a project which was a chicken project. And so Restless Development Zimbabwe got word of this. Patrick was brought into that project and in fact ended up leading that project, which enabled him to pay for his school fees. So this is a project that is a small chicken farm. It essentially enables young people to get the skills and the ability and training to be able to run that themselves. And secondly, that money is able to pay for their school fees. So by selling the chickens, by selling the eggs to the local community. So Patrick's now back in school. He's doing really well, and in fact he has just passed his O-levels, and yes, they are still O-levels in Zimbabwe. So there's 3 elements to the project. We've got about 30 seconds, but it's around building these income-generating projects in schools. It's around training these young HIV orphans with the skills to manage them, and it's around working with the local structures so that they're able to take these kind of projects to scale. So we know that we've got the right methodology, and we've proved that it works, like with Patrick. We now want to expand our flagship model to a new district, and we would love your support. It costs just £500 to set up one of these projects, and out of that £500, after 1 year, that project becomes self-sustaining. That one project allows 150 young orphans to go to school. So thank you very much.